South Africa, the Minister of Home Affairs, Honourable Malusi Gigaba, will address delegates from numerous African countries at the 5th African Unity for Renaissance Conference and Africa Day Expo. Following, of course, the government's recent significant efforts in dealing with the attacks directed towards African nationals and foreign nationals, to be more specific, Minister Gigaba will engage African academics on issues related to finding sound solutions for Africa's development challenges. But for more on the conference and Africa Day Expo, we're now joined in studio by Mr Frank Lekaba from the Human Sciences Research Council, as well as Dr Francis Onditi, all the way from Kenya. Gentlemen, welcome to AIM News. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's start with you, Mr Lekaba. I mean, we want to know more about the Africa Day and the conference expo taking place. When is it?
No, the conference started on Friday. It will be ending today. The expo is tomorrow, and we are having a breakfast show with the brand SA tomorrow in the morning. From there, we'll be moving to Pretoria at the Kara Heritage Institute. We'll be having our Africa Day Expo. Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Continue?
No. Those are the details of the conference and the expo. Okay,
so who are the main organizers behind the Africa Day Expo?
The main organizers behind the Africa Day Expo is the HSRC, Human Sciences Research Council, the Kara Heritage Institute, the City of Tshwane, and other partners, the Science and Technology, Department of Science and Technology, and Thabo Mbeki Leadership Institute. We've got so many partners involved in the whole conference and the expo.
Interesting. Now, Dr. Francis Onditi, welcome to AIM News to yourself, sir.
Thank you.
I mean, we of course, enjoy it when Africa celebrates together, and when we come together and we have activities such as, of course, one that we can expect later on with the President giving a keynote address. But what are some of the expectations, from the conference and the expo? What is your main vision and mission behind the conference and expo?
Thank you very much. This conference is coming at a time when Africa is celebrating 60 years after the independence of the first country in Africa. And I think it's pegged on the Pan-Africanism philosophy, where we want Africa that is united and in values, in norms, that would be able to spur our economic development and have stability in all four corners of Africa. So the expectations is actually to bring together the intellectuals and the practitioners who would then put together the whole, strategies on how to move 2063 Africa. And don't forget that this is the time, the African Union is very key on ensuring that all the four corners of Africa are actually being part of the 2063 agenda, and the Millennium Development Goal that is going to be spurred from 2015. So it's really an opportunity for the intellectuals and also for the practitioners and policymakers to put their heads together moving forward into 2063.
And talking about 2063 and, of course, its association with the African Union, how are you ensuring that, the expo, the conferences will help the AU with, of course, their mission to move Africa towards that 2063 vision?
Yes, as I said, the conference is also encompassing the practitioners, including the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in South Africa and also other countries, and therefore they will put together the recommendations that the intellectuals put together, and this should be channeled to the African Union in Addis Ababa so that they can be able to mainstream within the 2063 agenda. And on the sideway, we should also be thinking in terms of how should we, what are some of the strategies or pillars that we need to put together so that we can move the 2063 going, in terms of development, peace and security.
Now, Mr. Lekaba, let me come back to you. We're talking about the 2063 vision and how the African Union is trying to ensure that every country from every corner of the continent participates and benefits, of course, from Africa. How many countries are participating in the Africa Day Conference and Expo?
We have quite a variety of countries participating, even people from the diaspora. We have Nigeria, participants from Nigeria, participants from Kenya. We have got participants from Botswana. We've got participants from Algeria. And we have got participants beyond the continent from Canada, the US, those who are involved in the work of the diaspora. So the conference is not solely among African academics. We are also engaging the African scholars who are beyond the continent, who are sympathetic to the cause of Pan-Africanism. So we have got quite a number of countries involved in the conference, participants in fact.
And what would you say your main focus, or rather main theme for this year is?
The theme of this year is 2050 2015 and beyond, engaging Agenda 2063. The reason why we say 2015 and beyond is because of the conclusion of the Millennium Development Goals this year. So how do we project ourselves going forward beyond 2015? And how do we engage then the Agenda 2063? These are some of the issues that we are engaging, and most of the papers are really contributing to consolidating views on around the Agenda 2063, so that when we speak to our politicians, when we engage many people in the continent, we engage them with consolidated views from academics. We even engaged Minister Malusi Gigaba around so many issues that the role South Africa can play, how to better improve the relations South Africa has with other countries in the continent, how to foster people-to-people relations. Yeah. So we have done excellently well thus far at the conference.
Absolutely. And, you know, Dr. Onditi, just to come back to you, Mr. Lekaba mentioned a very important point about engaging the Honourable Minister of Home Affairs, Minister Malusi Gigaba, in talks and dialogue of how, of course, we can move the country and the continent forward. And, you know, when people think of Africa Day, we can't shy away from the fact that still more needs to be heard. Affirmation needs to be heard on how, you know, the xenophobic attacks, you know, how government is dealing with the xenophobic attacks and ensure that they never occur again in the country or anywhere else in the continent. But in your opinion, what do you think the root cause of xenophobia was, and how do you think we can move forward from that?
You are very right. While we are celebrating more than 60 years since independence and when our forefathers inspired or aspired many years ago, we are talking about leaders like Nyerere, Kenyatta, South African former president, and unfortunately they talked about Pan-Africanism, where we have a free movement of goods, free movement of people, and we can be able to interact and exchange technologies and knowledge. But this is the time we are also mourning. We are losing people in military mutinies in Burundi. We are losing people in East Africa, in Boko Haram, in West Africa. In South Africa, xenophobia is actually something that is a pity. So what this conference, the kind of contribution that we have for the continent would be, South Africa can take a lead in terms of showing the entire Africa that indeed we can make it. Economically, we can make it in terms of accumulating think tanks together and using the recommendations that we get out of such conferences moving forward. And one of the things is perhaps really working towards building a community-based kind of conflict resolution amongst the people in South Africa, so that they can be able to appreciate that South Africa is a rainbow country that can be able to accommodate other African countries. And you can take the lead. South Africa can take the lead in showing other countries that we can make it industrially, we can make it in terms of economy, and we build this on what we call the knowledge-based economy. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Francis Onditi, and of course to yourself, Mr. Frank Lekaba. Thank you so much for coming and sharing the Africa Day Expo with us. Thank you so much. All right, now that was Mr. Frank Lekaba from the Human Sciences Research Council and Dr. Francis Onditi, all the way from Kenya, of course, telling us more about what they're doing for Africa Unity Renaissance Conference and Africa Day Expo. Sounds exciting. Be a part of it and be a part of the change.